right, everybody, welcome to our latest Live Motocross podcast. As I'm joined by former star racer Jackson Richardson, who has been setting the moto scene alight with his quality banter of late as we chat all things AUSX and WSX and maybe a bit of Motocross Nations for Team Australia. What a result. So before we get to him, we'd like to thank our partners in 24MX, Dirt Store, Fuchs Silkaline and Dragon Energy for all their incredible support, as without them, none of this would be possible. All right, welcome, mate. Thanks for taking the time to join us up in sunny Cairns, mate. It's probably roasting up there, but how are you?
Yeah, appreciate it, mate. Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, been cooking up here lately at the moment, but life's good. I wouldn't trade it.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. You've certainly been, putting out some choice content and all the fans are enjoying it. And I guess the WSX, will start with the Glacial Till, mate. What was your thoughts on the track? Obviously, you're mates with a lot of these guys, and I'm sure they've given you a bit of insight, and it looked like one of the most brutal things going around. So just tell us a little bit about your thoughts on that too.
Yeah, well, shoot. I mean, that weekend, even going from the practice day that they had, with how chopped out it got on the practice day, I was thinking, man, if that's how gnarly it's getting just from, I think they had 2 practice sessions each. I was like, man, if it's getting that gnarly, like already, because there's really not a crazy amount of bikes there other than a normal race. I thought, man, if it's like that, those boys are going to be in for a long night. And shit, and it almost seemed like the moisture was softer on the Saturday night, the race night. And that might be one of the gnarlier like shootout Supercross races that I've ever seen. Because Seattle, it reminds me a lot of Seattle, the Seattle Supercross where the dirt's really, or even an Indy Supercross actually. But I reckon it got gnarlier than that. Like, to be honest, because like the track was pretty far. The way the layout was, it was pretty quick. So like the guys were carrying a lot of speed. And like, yeah, like it bit a few guys. Like, it seemed like the motive for the track builders was let's try and grenade as many blokes as possible. And it bit a few guys there. And I mean, really, the only guy that it didn't bite, it seemed like, was Tomac. Like, he was the only one I didn't see have a moment or like any sort of like crash or anything like that. Like, it was just wild. Like, Kenny got caught up. Anstey, who never usually has a night like that, he was on the deck like 3 times. Like, so it just goes to show with how gnarly it was. So it was brutal.
Yeah, it was kind of like, it was just drama all over. I guess that's kind of, with that series being the way it is and just having a few rounds and coming in the off season, I guess it certainly made an impact in one way or another, didn't it, mate? So, yeah, you got Vince Freeze doing his thing. Him and Joey Savacci seem to find each other all the time and have a bit of cat and mouse. But I suppose in the grand scheme of things, if you were racing and it was available, mate, I guess you'd probably jump at it. More money, more opportunities to race, a few more gate drops. I don't know under those conditions, mate, but I guess if you're in your prime, it'd be a pretty cool series, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, it's good that there's now it seems like with this series as well, and then the Aussie Supercross going on as well, it seems like we've got some form of racing going on all year round. Like, there's never a break really. And then like this series as well, because a lot of the AMA guys are contracted to just race over there. They don't like them coming over and doing this one. So it gives guys a lot of opportunity, like some of the guys who may not have rides, an opportunity to go over and compete in this event. And then it gives them a chance to shine as well and then make money as well, because the way that the prize purse works over there, guys can make like pretty decent money. So it's good to see.
Yeah, it's pretty good. The Aussie teams are supported, obviously, with your Reeves Honda and Craig Dack. Yamaha, obviously, CDR. It's cool. Obviously, you got Moss Cloud on the Rick Ware bike, which was pretty cool with the Arby's kit. And obviously, Kingsford and Barham as well. It's given them a chance is really super cool. And Kingsford and Barham, they held their own on that stage too. Got through the night, I guess. Most people seem to sort of incredibly get through the night, except for Subaras, who believes broken a femur, which is horrible. But yeah, it's crazy racing, mate. The formats makes for some pretty wild stuff too. I guess that's probably pretty difficult for the racers to handle those quick turnarounds as well. And then the super final, like, it's pretty chaotic. Like, even the commentators, Jeff Emig and that, they just didn't know who was winning, who'd won the race, what was going on. So it's like a little bit hard to follow, but I suppose if you're just purely looking at it as action, it's pretty solid, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I like what they've done with the format and added this super final in. Like, I thought, because I sort of read about it briefly, but I didn't even realize until I was watching the broadcast, like after the third 450 main was done, that they were going to have another one with the light spikes in there, and I was like, oh shoot, that's pretty cool. Because before the heat races weren't really like I didn't see really the point in having them. Like it was basically to select gay peg, but like everyone was going to be in the main, so it was kind of a throwaway race in a way. So it's good that it just like the broadcast starts and it's just straight into it. Like everything's on the line, which is good. But yeah, like that super final is definitely a cool addition to it. Seeing the light spikes in there, although those boys would have got yarded off the start, no doubt, with how soft that dirt was. The horsepower just would have got sucked out of the thing straight away. So the boys were behind from the get go in that one. But yeah, the boys had a good one.
Yeah, you're not heading over to Perth to watch that double header, mate. You're not getting any late call ups or anything. You're sort of in retirement
Oh,
mode at this point.
it'd have to take something pretty drastic to get me back in the boots these days. I haven't touched a bike in a year. I'd probably go out there and look like Ronnie Mack. That would probably be my comparison at this point. Like arm pump would be immense for sure. I think arm pump would set in as soon as the gate would drop. I'd have to be shaking them out on the start gate and probably have to get 3 arm pump surgeries to get through a weekend.
Oh, mate, it'd be action, it'd be a bloody box office. But I guess before we talk about AUSX, which is where you've sort of taken a lot of the spotlight with your social media arena there, mate, we've got to talk about the Aussies Motocross of Nations win. Obviously, they've gone third, second, and first. Bloody amazing achievement getting the job done. 11th team to ever win the Nations, first time for Australia. Lawrence Brothers and Webster got the job done, mate. And, really cool for Burner as well, being the team manager. He's raced it 7 times. And there's a really big collective effort from Australia with the fundraising and all that stuff just to sort of give the guys a platform to shine, and obviously sending Kyle over there for over a month to train and practice with the Lawrence brothers and get that HRC Factory 250 rocket ship dialed. And it's just so cool. All that hard work paid off. And I guess the unity, the collective sort of spirit that obviously that fostered as well. They were all really close. And then, the HRC crew pulling their weight with Lars Lindstrom and the mechanics, Ben Griffith, who I spoke to. And then obviously the Lawrence brothers mechanics too. Awesome lads. And yeah, everyone was just pulling in the same direction, mate. So just give us your take on it. It was pretty awesome, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was very cool to see that. And like just with the boys, like I said before, like that weekend, I was like, this feels like the perfect storm for a win for the boys this year, because like they come close a couple of times over the last couple of years, like being on the podium a few times. And then this year, because I knew Jet and Hunter were going to be good, I knew Webby just had to get at least one good one decent moto in for the boys to have a chance. And it all worked out. And it was really cool because like I've known those guys. I know Jet and Hunter a little bit, but Webby I was teammates with for a year and got to know him really well. And to see where he's come from when I was teammates with him, that was around the time I think he might have just got his first overall win in nationals when we were teammates, and he'd been at it for a few years before that. And then he just built each year, won an MX2 title and then won a MX1 title. So it was cool to like see him be a part of that. And he just rode his butt off all weekend along with the other two.
Yeah, it was super impressive, and you couldn't sort of imagine the pressure Webster would have been on. Obviously, there was a lot of talk in the media that don't maybe know him that well, that he's a bit of a weak link and all this stuff. But he showed what he's capable of. He went to America, he did those rounds. Over the years, he's been a great 250 rider as well. Obviously, won the Pro MX title this year. But it must have been a lot of pressure for him, mate. And then obviously he had that hand injury coming in, and he hurt himself on the day, and just a lot that he had to deal with, mate. A lot of adversity, and physically and mental. And he's just a warrior, isn't he, mate? He's a savage and a great starter. All those guys are great starters. So just so impressive, mate, wasn't it?
Oh man, it was next level. And I mean Webby, with all the adversity he's faced, and not only just like that weekend, like through the years, and I got to witness it like firsthand being on the same team as him. I was like, man, this guy's cut from a different cloth. Like this guy he's got no quit in him. And I've just seen it over the years. So like for him to like battle through all of that, and then they came out with a win. Like it was just awesome because I didn't watch it live because it was on a Sunday night, and I was like, I want to stay up for it, but I got to get up early and go to work in the morning. So I'm just gonna get up in the morning and watch the highlights before I see any results or anything. And I was watching it in the morning, and like, because it was cutting between, like, it was just the highlights, so it was cutting between a bit of stuff, so I couldn't really see the points. And I was like, I don't know what's going on here, but I think we're in the mix here. And then the last moto happened, and then I was like, oh no, I mean, can I swear on this podcast or no? I want to know the parameters.
Nah, just go for it, mate.
Oh, okay. I was like, fuck off. We won the damn thing. I was like, holy shit. Like, it was just crazy the way it worked out. Like, first time ever. And like, couldn't ask for a better group of blokes, like, to do it, really. Because, the three of them are just legends.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. Well said. And obviously, hopefully it leads to some future success. And I guess it's going to be pretty massive for the sport in Australia too, even though I probably didn't really get the coverage.
Well, after that, I was on social for a little bit, and like they did get pretty good coverage because
That's good.
The Channel 9 put a post up. I think it might have been on the news and stuff, even though I don't pay much attention to the news over here. But yeah, Channel 9 covered it. Even like I don't know if you've heard of Bloke in a Bar. He's a big NRL podcast because I follow NRL religiously, and he even posted something about it. And I was like, oh shit, the different codes are starting to take notice of the boys. I was like, this is good shit.
Oh, mate, credit to him, mate. And it's probably, with Australian Moto, it's in like a pretty good spot at the moment. I guess obviously being a moto racer and any kids and families doing it is brutally expensive. But I guess, in terms of what's going on in Australia, the Pro MX is a strong series. The Australian Supercross is going from strength to strength. You got the AUSX Open where the Lawrence brothers and Cooper Webb, they'll be coming out for that. Super cool. And you got WSX in Perth in a few weeks, double header. You got the MXGP in Darwin. We just need the Motocross Nations back here, mate. And we've sort of done the full suit. It's good times, isn't it?
Oh, the Nations has got to, hopefully with the GP coming to Darwin next year, and like hopefully that event is successful, and hopefully that like kickstarts like a bit of work to maybe get the Nations over here at some point, like because that would just be awesome. I mean, I don't know where you would have it at. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head of like what would be the best track to have it at, but that'd just be epic at some point if that was to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Your sort of memories back to the Emig photo at Manji and all that stuff. I remember doing a podcast with him last year, and he was just loving it, mate. He was good times, wasn't it? Really iconic photo that where he's just basically
where he's standing up, dragging bar through the dirt. I was like, I thought he was crashing when someone showed me that photo, and they were like, no, he stayed up. I was like, all right, bro. He could drag bar back in the day, the big fella.
Yeah, mate. Obviously on the World Supercross comms too, mate. I don't know if you plan on going to any of these races yourself and then Darwin, the GP next year or whatever. But I guess what's your take on the state of Aussie motocross and Supercross? You reckon it's in a really good place? Obviously you've been and seen it all, raced it, mate. So what's your sort of take on it? Because it's always good to ask people in the know and who've raced this question.
I mean, well, for me personally, I mean, I wouldn't know really to say. I mean, I was around a little bit last year. And like I've seen it take another jump this year for sure, but like I'm not there, especially nowadays. I'm not there all the time, so I don't know the ins and outs and what's going on. And like I talk to guys off and on, and they said like things are picking up a bit. So it looks like it's heading in the right direction. And I feel like with the series this year, like I mean we've only had one round, but the first round seemed like it was a big success at Redcliffe. So I would just like to see it continue, like, and hopefully like just pick up steam. Well, it seemed like it was picking up steam right up until COVID happened. And then like, as you know, like motocross especially, like it was basically 3 years, not 3 years, like 2 years where we had no racing. And so like I feel like it dropped off a bit there. And now we're sort of starting to get it back going again. Yeah.
Yeah, mate, it's obviously tough to do. Obviously, the organisers do their best, and it's like a logistical nightmare. And obviously,
Yeah.
things aren't getting any cheaper. So, I guess in an ideal world, I don't know if you'd rather keep, say, the 8 motocross rounds, or maybe bump that to 10 and have 10 and 10 or something. Like that'd be really cool to get some good money into the sport, get the riders having some really good, professional money across the board and stuff, wouldn't it? That'd be a pretty cool split in the schedule if it could be possible one day.
Yeah, that's definitely right. I feel like we definitely need some more pro races throughout the year. Because like with the way the motocross schedule works, it's kind of tough because there's like a month in between every round. So it's not like frequent enough for fans to
Yeah.
follow. It's easy to forget about basically.
Yeah.
Because like even me, like I'm a fan now. I'm not a racer, so like I'm like it seems like one round happens and then a couple weeks go by and then like the weekend comes and then it's a Sunday and you're like, oh fuck, oh there's a race on this weekend. Instead of like just knowing that I mean it doesn't have to be as frequent as the footy and stuff like that, but just not as many breaks in between every round. Like the Supercross, for instance, I feel like this was a good gap in between. Like it's been 2 weekends off since the last round of at Redcliffe. So yeah, if they keep it going a bit like that, then like the fans will keep tuning in because the racing's good. Like the racing's awesome. I like the formats they're doing at the moment. Like it keeps the racing close. So yeah, it's good. It's in a good place.
Yeah, I think in some of the seasons and like even this one, there was, you get those 6 to 7 week gaps, and it's just hard to sort of, obviously for the media to sort of keep those storylines really building. And it's probably quite difficult for the races too, speaking to some of them. It's, what do you do? Obviously, there's some Queensland state races and a few championships here and there, but it's obviously not quite the same. And you're sort of training without, wanting to get injured a little
Yeah.
bit because you want to sort of have that self preservation. Whereas in America, it's just like race, 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 like 17, rounds of supercross in, 19 week, 20 weeks or something, so they can always just keep building and building. But that's another
Yeah.
kettle of fish, mate. But I guess for a racer, it must be quite tough having those big gaps, knowing there's a race coming, but it just can't come soon enough, eh?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Yeah. So like if and like it's tough too because oh well in a way it's kind of good for the guys like that month off you can use it to a benefit because like pretty much after every weekend you just go, well, I'll just take a week off and heal up. And then it gives guys a lot of time if you got like a bit of a niggling injury to like heal up before the next
Yeah.
one. But yeah, it's just like just trying to get the fans to draw in. It's just got to be more frequent to me anyway. Because like even like I got friends up here that are into motocross and like they're just always asking me like what's going on with it, and it's like, well, there's not much going on right now. They got a month until the next race, and then after this one, there's a mid-season break, and then there's like 2 months off. So yeah, it's like it's kind of hard to like. You just got to keep drawing them in. We definitely don't need as much racing as they do in America. I feel like that's too much what they're doing over there, especially if you're a 450 guy over there. Like
Mm.
that is a long season. I mean, to get through 17 Supercross rounds, 11 motocross, and 3 playoff races now. Like, if you walk out of that season without getting injured, like, that's just pure luck. That just doesn't happen too much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 31. And then you obviously got the guys doing the nations. And then obviously
Yeah,
you got, in the case of
there's
Lawrence brothers,
guys,
you got
there's
Paris
guys in
Supercross
there
and
that
AUSX.
probably have not taken a week off, like, in 2 years now.
Yeah, literally, it's crazy. Like even speaking to Ben Griffiths, and he was helping, Kyle Webster a lot with that 250 at the Nations,
Yeah,
and obviously he just came off SMX, did that. He came for a little break in Australia, went to Brisbane Supercross, and then he's gone straight back to work, and they're prepping bikes for Shimoda for Paris
mm.
Supercross, and getting all that stuff ready. So it's no rest for the wicked, isn't it, mate? And then
Oh
obviously Lawrence
man,
brothers, AUSX as well. So it's crazy, but I
yeah,
hope it doesn't jeopardize them racing the Nations or anything in the future because they're shining stars, aren't they?
yeah, yeah. No, that's exactly right. And what you don't want to do is like burn the guys out like quickly, because like we've seen it over the years where like Villapoto retired early. Dungy retired early. I mean, Ricky retired super early at 26, I think he was when he hung it up. And like, there's just guys like that where they left and like everyone was like, far out. We wanted to see more of these guys. Like, we wanted to see them like go for a couple of years. Like a lot of the guys you don't want to see them till the wheels fall completely off, but you want to see them around, like, because like it was just unreal to watch. And like, hopefully, like, we're not burning these guys out too much to where they go, oh, I'm just gonna win a couple of championships and then that's it, I'm done.
Yeah, it's a good point actually, because obviously, you look at the things they're doing to preserve the riders' safety, like the 9 whoops in America, and that's purely because they want the
Yeah,
stars out there, really, isn't it? Because they don't want the assets going down like last year. You think of outdoors, it was just
yeah,
there
no,
was
that's
just empty
exactly right.
privateers. Good for them, but it's certainly a lot of you can see why they do it, even though there's a lot of conjecture and hate about it. But yeah, just your take on that, mate. And I guess you can sort of nicely segue into the Australian Supercross whoops with Danny Ham, which caused a nice little stir over here too, didn't it? That caused a stir all across. You talk to people in America and the GPs.
Yeah,
They loved hearing Danny's comments, mate, and then your response, I guess we could say, mate. So it was interesting stuff.
yeah, definitely. And like my take with what Danny said is like, I get it. Like so they knocked the whoops down for the second night, which if you're a guy like Dean Wilson and it was Noah Ferguson in the 250 class who was the only 250 guy skimming the whoops that night and looked unreal through them.
Mm.
And I look at it from their perspective and I'm like, well, if I'm them, I'm blowing a gasket because that was such a huge advantage, like, for me. And now you've just taken away my best advantage. But now I look at it from a fan's perspective. And I mean, I've been a former racer as well. And I'm like, I look at it like, I don't want to see the whoops super hard to where it's killing everyone.
Mm.
And like, and especially as well, because we got 85 riders, we got MXD riders out there who it's their, like, some of the lights guys, it's their first year in Supercross, and we don't. I think it's more of the fact that we don't have enough practice tracks around, like enough Supercross tracks around, and I mean, whoops are hard to learn, man. Like that. It takes skill. The bigger thing with the whoops is commitment. That's the big part. It's the holding the gas on to come into it. Because the faster you enter them, the better it is actually. And it's hard to do that because you got to shut that thing off in your head to go, don't, I got to back off for this. You got to shut that out and just go. Because I was pretty good through the whoops for years. I mean, I had some massive ones in the whoops over the years, but for the most part, I was pretty good in them. The way I learned to do them, but I was lucky to have this, was because we had machines. My dad built all my tracks for me. How we started, we made a small set of whoops, like they were tiny, and it was like I could go through them as fast as I could. Like once I got good at them, then we made them a little bigger. And then we made them a bit bigger after that. And then it was like we were making like giant ones. Like they were huge. And I was comfortable going through them at the end by that point. And that gave me a huge advantage, like when I entered Supercross, because for the most part, it seemed like when we got to the races, the whoops weren't too bad. So I could handle them not too bad. But yeah, it's just more for the guys just coming in. I don't want to see them. I don't want to see guys end for ending it through the whoops, and then we sliced the field in half at the next race, and we got like 10 guys on the gate at the next one. But I feel like you can make whoops big but safe as well. Like you round them a little bit. You don't put a massive V in the middle of each whoop. So if you drop the front wheel in, it's not just going to grab and spit you off. Like there's definitely ways where you can make them big but safe as well.
Yeah, it's really cool insight, mate. And I guess on the topic of just the progression, obviously you worked your way up to them, and I guess that gives you that confidence heading into the race instead of the fear, I guess, for some guys that maybe don't feel that sort of as though they're well equipped to handle them. And how were some of the sets you saw in America, mate? Because obviously they're obviously
Oh,
known for, having some beastly ones. How are they from your perspective? Just sort of
oh
anything that
man.
sticks out in the mind?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of I remember there was one race in Toronto where like there was a massive set. And I even remember walking the track, and I was walking the track, and I was near Chad Reed. Chad Reed was in there. And I heard him say, "God damn, these whoops are fucking massive." And when I heard him say that, I was like, "Oh fuck." I was like, don't say that. This guy is like one of the best to ever go through the whoops, and he's saying they're massive. I was like, how am I gonna handle this? But I got through them okay. They were, because those ones, they were massive, they were big ones, but they were rolled over pretty good. The only hard part was the dirt up there was soft, so it chewed out a lot. So that one comes to mind. But there was, I'll never forget one of the gnarliest sets I ever seen. It was actually at Adelaide Supercross in 2016. And like it was like a big set, and it was like the longest set of whoops you ever seen. Like I felt like it was like 50 whoops long this year. And they were big too. And put it this way, you should ask Kyle Webster about this, because he was in the B practice and we were in the A practice, and we'd finished, come in and watched the B practice. Kyle Webster came through the whoops and crashed 6 times in a row through the whoops. He would come around, like he'd be on a hot lap, come in, cartwheel, get back up, like finish the lap, come around to do another heater. He would cartwheel again. This is just goes to show how much grit he's got. I seen him cartwheel 6 laps in a row and then just get up and like came in, same commitment too, like just came in wedged. And like, yeah, that was like probably one of the gnarliest sets I've ever seen. That might be the gnarliest set I've seen over the years.
Yeah, mate, that's crazy, isn't it? It's really cool perspective, obviously, yeah, because you sort of see them on TV and it never does them justice, does it?
Yeah, that's it. Until you're down there on the floor, like they're way bigger than what you see like up in the stands. And like for me personally, I hated walking the track, because like you get out there and you're like, holy shit. Like you walk the triple, I was like, man, we're not gonna make this on a 250. Are you kidding me? But like when you get out on the track, like the stuff isn't as bad. So I hated walking the track, and because you're walking out there with guys, and some guys will just say, "Oh man, this is not. This man. What do they think we're doing here?" And then you start thinking, "Yeah, what are they doing? Are they trying to kill us?" And like everyone's talking, and you're just like, "Oh, geez, it must be bad." But then when you start riding it, like half the stuff seems fine. It's good.
Do you reckon some of those track builders sort of rub their hands together and sort of wait for the carnage, mate, or what?
Oh, I mean, I don't think so. Like,
Nah.
especially the guys now that build the tracks, pro tracks. I know those guys really well, and like they're good, and like they take feedback from the riders and do it. I remember there was some guys back in the day where like you'd make a suggestion and they thought you were writing them off. Like you're saying like, "Oh, you reckon I can't build a track, mate?" And then that's when they go, "Oh yeah, I'll fucking show these boys. I'll build the gnarliest set of whoops they've ever seen and make them peaky as."
Oh, it's good stuff, mate. But yeah, I guess looking back at that Redcliffe round, what was sort of some of the other sort of rounds, I guess 1 and 2, what were some of the sort of, obviously the whoops were a key takeaway, but obviously the Wilson Savachi battle, Clout throwing his name up there was pretty cool to see. And I guess they did it really well. The presentation was good. I was there, and, having the riders come out with the flags with the opening ceremony, sort of building the hype. And there was some really good battles. The racing was really quality, especially that one on the second night where Clout won, Wilson and Savachi, 3-way battle. Like super good racing, wasn't it, mate? It's really good series. A lot of race fans are hungry for content and gate drops to watch, and it goes across the world. And yeah, it's a really cool sort of series to fill the void, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, no, that's it. And yeah, the racing was awesome through both classes. Yeah. Yeah, and I expected like the Americans to obviously do good. Like I knew Joey, like in the lights class. I knew Thompson was going to be good, and I knew McElrath was going to be good. But it's good to see the Aussie guys getting up in the mix. Like Cloudy, I knew was going to be our best Aussie guy because like he's just like he's been close a few years, almost won the championship one year, and like against Brayton too, who's like one of the greatest Supercross riders to like ever throw a leg over a bike. So I knew he was gonna be in with a good chance. Like if he just stays up and stays healthy, like I know he can be in the mix for sure. And after what he did at Redcliffe, that'll give him a lot of confidence for sure. And then like in the lights class as well, like Noah Ferguson like came out, won a race. Ryder Kingsford did really well, and also like killed it in the first race over in Canada. But yeah, it's good to see like the gaps closing a bit. And one more thing before I forget about is like going back to the tracks and to that for a second. Like I don't really, especially as a fan nowadays, I don't like seeing. I mean, I like seeing a technical track, but I like seeing it to where it doesn't separate the guys a lot. Which, if I was racing, I'd want it technical as so I can get the biggest amount of gap I could possible. But like, I don't want to see a race where a guy wins by 10 plus seconds. Like, I want to see the guys close together and battling. That's what I want to see. And that track on the weekend was pretty good for it because it separated the top guys from the guys just behind them, but it kept the front guys like close together and battling too, which is what we saw in that 450 race that like the social media is going bananas over. Like we need stuff like that. And like the boys might not like it, like bumping into each other and stuff like that. I mean, it got heated there a little bit over the weekend, but as a fan, that's what draws us in. Like I'm at home on the couch, absolutely losing my mind. That's the stuff I want to see.
Yeah, mate, makes for good content, great coverage, and it just elevates
Absolutely.
everything. And I guess you look at Cloud, obviously came in with a bit of a chip, and the way he races is really cool. He loves that intensity and aggression, and he wants to rise to the occasion and be in that battle. So he had some massive crashes that weekend too, mate, and he's still up there, you know, so didn't deter him whatsoever. So really cool to see the Aussies putting it to those, I guess, the imports, you could say. Good for the fans to sort of get behind as well, doesn't it, mate? Because if you were racing, you'd probably like to feel that from the crowd too, wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely. And it's awesome to have like a homegrown Aussie guy like in the mix battling these guys. Because well, for the last couple of years, like we've had imports winning every Australian Supercross championship. So to have a guy in the mix, it gets the country and the fan base behind him and it just rallies them. Like so it's good to have.
Yeah, absolutely. You saw Beaton do what he did after 9 years of not racing Supercross. Obviously, a very different beast, and he's been on the motocross circuit, so showed what a skillful, adaptable rider he is. I guess it's unsurprising in some ways because he's so talented, but it's easier said than done to go out there and do that on a Supercross arena. You know, one thing training, another thing racing it, mate. So I guess Moss will be coming out looking for a big sort of return to form after a couple of rough weekends, and I guess Tanti as well. He's building back, so he's a super good Supercross rider too, mate. So the Aussie, there's some good guys flying the flag still in the 450 class, isn't there?
Oh man, absolutely. And going on Jed Beaton, like he was probably my biggest surprise at round one, even though the results like probably don't jump off the page. Because I was racing with him his first year in Supercross when he came out. And I mean, you talk about a guy that looked uncomfortable out there. Like he was the definition of that, because he podiumed in the motocross season. Like he's a good motocross rider, always has been. And then he got into Supercross and he was just a fish out of water. And then I didn't know he was doing the Supercross until like just before the season started, and I seen him practicing and I thought to myself, geez, how's this gonna go? Because the last time I seen him on it, he didn't look real good. And then when he got out there, when I was watching the coverage, I was like, man, he looks comfortable out there. Like he's flowing. He's just not doing anything crazy. Just seemed like he was doing his laps out there, which is good to see. And to get through the first two back-to-back races with the results he had, I thought it was awesome for him. And then it's just building from there. Like you get through that one, you get a bit of confidence, you make some changes, and then you just continue to improve. So I'm keen to see how he goes this weekend.
Absolutely, well said. It's sort of good to get those gate drops and, like you said, build the confidence and the momentum, because it's better to do it that way than to be, on the couch or in the hospital. So yeah,
That's
it's really
it.
cool. Obviously, and you got some other guys like Wills and Melross and Medi as well on the farewell tour. Such an amazing career he's had, and obviously Jack May, the youngster, stepping up on that Husqvarna. He was putting some moves on, getting some good starts. So I guess there's good sort of crop of youngsters as well as those experienced guys, isn't there, mate?
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. It's good to see that we got a couple of good young guys coming in, and like especially in the 450 class too, because the top guys are getting a little bit older, so they'll be around for a couple of more years. So it's good to see some fresh blood in there mixing it up. And Mather as well. Like he had a good because he'd done only a handful of Supercross races before that, because I think he got injured last year. And for him to come out and have that performance, get a couple of hole shots, and just to get through it. I know they were making a lot of suspension changes with him throughout the weekend, which is always a stressful thing. You don't want to be doing testing at the races, because that's just one way to confuse you. And then especially in Supercross, confidence is everything. You just can't get around that. So if you're going out there scared, then you really got no business being out there. So it was good that he got through that one. I'd imagine they would have gone to work over the couple of weeks now to get him in better race condition and get his bike dialed in a bit more. So I'm keen to see what he does this weekend as well. Hopefully I'll see an improvement out of him too.
Yeah, absolutely, mate, for sure. And I guess the SX2 class, that was full of drama, wasn't it, mate? Obviously, the Honda boys were at it, mate. So I guess I don't really need to explain too much. You just take the floor.
Oh, man. I mean, well, you got to start off with the Honda trifecta on night one, because, I mean, it's rare. I mean, it's pretty rare that you see a teammate. When you clean two teammates out in one corner, that's like an eclipse. Those things don't come around too often. And I mean, I could only imagine what it was like back in the truck after that. I mean, we've seen a little bit here and there, but geez, man, I tell you what, Konsk must have his handful being a mediator in that situation. But yeah, that was crazy. And then there was drama going on everywhere. But I mean, this lights class, man, these guys are just frisky. I mean, what can I say? Talk about guys that want to go for it and get a W. There is a lot of guys in there that can get in the mix, with the imports. So that's good to see too, because especially a couple of them only had just come into Supercross over the last couple of years. Now they're starting to find their feet with it and gain more confidence. We've seen Fergo get a win. Ryder Kingsford got a win. He was probably the biggest surprise for me out of the 250 class, just because I hadn't seen much of him prior to that. I'd seen him a little bit, but on the weekend, that weekend, and then even in Canada, he's really showed me something now, that he's the real deal. So yeah, it's good to have a good crop of those guys. And then, I mean, these guys are just oozing with confidence. They all want to win, and they're obviously willing to do whatever it takes to win, even if it's putting your teammate on the deck.
Oh, it's going to be good, mate. It's going to be so good. You look at the top 9 in the points, and they're separated by 8 points. Obviously, Cade Mini is in 9th there, and then you got Reed Taylor, just super talented. Obviously, got a podium on one of those races. Cosford, he put his name up there. Larwood was super fast if he didn't have those crashes. And then Kingsford, Ferguson, Connolly, Cole Thompson, and McElrath on top. But it's just super good racing, and it's sort of some ways heading in. There was a lot of talk about, the imports will just dominate this class and be too good for the Aussies, but it's definitely not shaping up like that. And I guess Brodie Connolly, not really coming from too much Supercross, was super impressive. The speed was excellent. Obviously, he had his incidents with a certain teammate, but he certainly showed how talented he is, and he obviously came off the nations where he didn't do as well as he would have liked. Same with the MXGP of China, because he absolutely dominated Pro MX in the MX2 class, mate. So there's a lot of guys with a lot to prove, isn't there?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right, man. And Connolly was another guy that impressed me that weekend, with not having much Supercross experience at all. and then he came out and like put in a good performance too. Yeah, it's definitely good to see, and it's good that we got a good crop of young riders coming through now that are super talented. So you can see that the sport's heading in a good direction, and these guys can run with them. Like we even seen Cosford, he qualified P1 on the second night. He's got good speed. I feel like if he's his issue, he's just got to get his starts dialed, and he seems to like be on the ground a little bit. But if he can stay up and put together a full race, I can see him being on the box as well. So these imports, man, like if they get a bad start, it's not going to be a cakewalk through the pack on these guys. Like these guys are the real deal.
Yeah, mate, the fans are going to be in for a treat, that's for sure. And I guess your thoughts on Caden Minier. Obviously, he's gone over and he did really well in that combine. He did the SMX Futures race, the All Stars kind of thing, and it looks like he's going to be joining Star Racing in a deal for next year, probably with an eye to do the Futures, then maybe go pro, whatever. See what that entails, mate. But yeah, super talented rider, obviously in that KTM, getting the help from Orange Brigade program with Daniel Blair. So really exciting career, and he won those 2 heat races, didn't he, mate? So just your thoughts on him, and he's a really bright talent coming out of Australia. Obviously, it's kind of good to see that they go overseas, but it's also sort of bad for the series to lose them. And also for him, is that an interesting dynamic for him? Because he's essentially racing against men and fully fledged professionals, and you go over and race against amateurs. I guess it's just a different way of looking at it. I suppose you have to fix the approach, but what way is better for the development? I guess we'll wait and see, won't we?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Actually, he looked good at Redcliffe, because I was in Adelaide last year for that race when he had a massive one in practice and compound fractured the humerus, I believe. And I was watching him ride, and he was just over jumping stuff. It was almost like he was too keen, which was understandable. Like being that young, you're making your pro supercross debut, like stuff like that's going to happen. But when that injury happened to him, I thought, oh, that might not be good for the confidence going forward. But man, he's put all that behind him, and he's come out, and he looked like he was in control on the weekend. Like he was just smooth, clicking off laps. Probably some better starts in the main event would have helped him. Like a start's everything nowadays. I mean, we all know that. So, I mean, and it's easier said than done too. So yeah, it's awesome to see him up there and getting in the mix. And then also with what he was doing in America, that's just awesome to see. To see him go over there and do the combine and win a moto by 30 seconds, against factory amateur guys over there. And and it's awesome to see that he's picked up a star deal for next year over there. I feel like that's going to be awesome. Especially because you're based out of Florida, everyone rides at the same facility. So you're around greatness basically 24/7. So there's no real better place to start over there than the Star Yamaha team. So he's got a good future ahead of him, and hopefully we'll see him in AMA one day killing it.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Super bright future, and yeah, really good talent, good young bloke. And I guess it's a good topic, the facilities they have. Obviously, you got the Star Racing, the Baker's factory, and the dynamic there of sort of testing yourself every day, trying to be the top dog on the test track and in training and in the gym and in the cycles. There's a lot to sort of go on for a young person to take on, isn't it, mate? I guess it's not for everyone. You see Levi Kitchen, you're moving on to the Kawasaki and doing his own sort of program, Vial and Sexton, just whatever works for each rider. Obviously, we have some really good training programs in Australia too, like we were talking about before with Ford Dale, 00 Elite, Beaton's Pro Formula, these kind of things, mate. So what's your take on the facilities? Obviously, you can really sort of enhance the progression pretty quickly because you sort of always know where the level is. But I guess some riders, in terms of their mentalities and their personalities, it probably doesn't fit for either, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Yeah, everyone's different for sure. Some guys definitely enjoy being in that kind of environment, where practice is basically a race day, because you're going up against guys that you'll be practicing with guys that you race against. And then you might go out there with the intention of all right, I'm just going to get through today. I'll work on this. But then as soon as the stopwatch comes out, that plan's out the window, and you're that's it. I'm throwing down some fucking heaters today. I'm going to show the boys what they're in for this weekend. So but some guys thrive in that environment, and there's definitely a benefit to that. I was the kind of guy. Well, for the most part, I didn't have too many guys to ride with up here. I mean, I had my cousin Mitch Evans and Richie Evans eventually down the track once they went pro. But I was a guy I just rode by myself. Half the time we wouldn't even pull the stopwatch out. We were mainly just working on technique and stuff like that for the most part. I mean, I'd do my laps, but we were more focused on like technique. We weren't too worried about the stopwatch too much back in the day. But like there definitely is an advantage to like riding with guys and like you're pushing yourself, because like there's some days where you're riding and you're just going through the motions, whereas you got guys that you're chasing, then you're focusing, and then you're going, oh, okay, how can I make this better? Where can I pick up time? What are they doing? I could probably do this better, stuff like that. So yeah, there's benefits to like everything. Like I remember Dean Ferris back in the day, like he always just rode by himself out in Kyogle, and that did pretty well for him. He got three or four Aussie titles. Like, and then like there's guys that train with guys full time and win multiple championships. So there's different ways of going about it. It's just whatever works best for the athlete.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. That's another cool thing about motocross is obviously the techniques, the different styles can obviously still get it done, can't they? Carmichael, Stewart, you look at, Deegan, even though he's making refinements every step of the way, and then you look at Hunter and Jet Lawrence and Sexton, a lot more sort of technically proficient riders and ways, navigate tracks and to get through obstacles in, I guess, a little bit more of a measured way. But it's really cool you can do it both ways in motocross, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I mean, you got, like, Jet Lawrence and Chase Sexton, guys like that who may have the best technique of all time. And then, you got Carmichael, the greatest of all time, whose style wasn't really a technical masterpiece, put it that way, but he's the greatest of all time. Like the guy just won constantly. So like there's definitely different ways of going about it for sure. And like yeah, so like there's different ways of doing it, and like it really just goes back to like what works best for the rider, I guess, because there's so many different ways of doing it, and there's going to be, and I bet in like another 10 years time there's going to be another sort of fashion that comes along and changes the game after that as well. It might even get to the point where no one's even practicing during the week. There's just, it might get to that point. They're going to be doing some funky off the bike stuff and then riding on the bike. It's not even going to be a thing anymore.
Like the MotoGP guys that obviously don't really ride the bikes at all when they race and test. So I guess, it's all about playing to your strengths and I guess maximizing what you're good at, but obviously working on the bad habits. But you obviously can't remove everything that's been ingrained since you're a youngster, can you? So it's sort of just, glossing over that as well as you can and maximizing what you're good at, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Yeah, I was big on working on the weaknesses for sure. Like I remember during the motocross season, I'd struggle with like real long ruddy tracks and stuff like that. So, and then with my father there, I knew the next week when we were coming out to the track was going to be rip deep and it was going to be very wet. So we just went out and I just practiced my weaknesses for the most part. But what guys got to remember is like what your strengths are. This is what I learned down the road a bit longer, is because I would focus so much on my weaknesses, it would kind of almost take me away from my strengths. So like in Supercross, for instance, I was really good at the whoops. And then later I learned, one of my close friends and engine builders told me, he's like, make your strengths really good and that'll make up for your weaknesses. And so that's like one way to think about it as well. But yeah. there's definitely a lot of different ways to go about it, for sure.
It definitely rings true with Dean Wilson on night one, smashing the whoops, and Savachi was
That's
probably
it.
a little bit better around the rest of the track.
Or if you got a strong weakness, let them knock the whoops down and get rid of it. And then it's everyone's strength.
Yeah, mate, that's one way to do it, isn't it? Just level the playing field straight away.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, mate. And I guess we're heading up towards the hour here, mate. And obviously, with the Aussie Supercross series, I guess we'll just have a chat about, the rounds, get some predictions from you, mate. But it's really cool. They're sort of making each round's a bit of a statement, isn't it? Obviously, you kicked it off with the double header at Redcliffe. It looks like the Wollongong one's going to have that triple crown format. And I believe, they're getting the UFC fighter Volk in there to sort of ramp up the energy. And then the V8 collab in Adelaide. And then obviously the Melbourne one with the AUSX Open, a huge finale with the Lawrence brothers and Cooper Webb in that marble, huge stadium. Awesome way to end the series. So they're doing a really good job of organising it and making each one a real sort of showstopper and attracting those fans that they need, isn't it?
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. So yeah, it'll be a good one this weekend. Like, I'm wondering if they're going to be using a similar dirt what they used there the last time. If it was like that, it's a really slick track. It will be really slick if it's like the same sort of dirt that they were using last time. So, and that stadium, the way that one works out, it's actually pretty tight in there. Really, it's probably a similar sort of style to Redcliffe, but it's actually a pretty small floor area. So this track will probably be maybe just a little bit tighter than what Redcliffe was. But with that dirt, like if it's as slick as last time, like it was like Blue Groove last time we went there. So like throttle controls like huge, like I could probably, if I was to predict it, I'd probably be going like with Savachi for a win in the 450, just because like he's like a real super smooth rider. He's got good throttle control and he's real precise. It'll be tough with Dino on that one. I mean, Dino's going to be like really good no matter what. But with a tight track and just being like a bit like with the size he is, like being real tall, it's gonna be a little hard to maneuver it around there. Cloudy will be good. Mossy, if he is healed up, he'll be good there as well. Especially like being a home race for him. Cloudy will be good too. I mean, those boys will get up for that one, no doubt. It wouldn't shock me if one of those two came out with a win at that one. I mean, I don't know. Do we know what the format is for that race?
I believe it's a triple crown.
Oh, right. So it's going to be shorter races. Whoa, well, okay. That might change it a little bit. I'm going to go on a limb and say Cloud will get the win in 450. He's won there before and he'll get up for the big one. For the 250, I mean, I would go with McElrath. I mean, that's the obvious choice. Like Thompson will be good as well. But who was I thinking of? My mind's having a blank here.
We're going Cole Thompson, Connolly, Ferguson, Kingsford, Larwood, Barham, Cosford.
Fergo will be good.
Taylor could be pretty good.
It's going to come down to a start. I could honestly see Caleb Barham even getting in the mix at that one because he's such a good starter. And so I could see him being on the box there. If Chase Gosford gets a start at that one, I could see him being up there. Ryder Kingsford I'm going to go out on a limb and say Ryder Kingsford could get a win this weekend. I'm making bold predictions here because I just shoot from the hip. I'm just going to say Ryder Kingsford 250, Luke Clout 450. And if it wins, then I'm just going to look like the biggest genius of all time.
Bloody oath, mate. Yeah, we need some sports bet sort of stuff like they've got going on in America at the moment.
I mean, I'm an amateur sports gambler. I mean, I gamble from time to time on the sports, and we need motocross in the mix on this one. We could do some fun with that.
Well, I suppose that's one way to get money in the sport, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. How have we not done it yet? Well, we did do it. There was like once or twice where we did do it for the AUSX Open when this was back when it was in Sydney. Like Ladbrokes did a thing and like had us on it. And then they did me dirty one year when I was defending champ. I came in at $7.50. I was absolutely fucking filthy on it. And I was telling the boys, hey, I'm at good odds. I'd put a pineapple on me for sure.
No, it's awesome, mate. It's good to get your opinion on all these things and have a chat and have a
Oh,
laugh and talk a
definitely.
bit of rubbish, mate, isn't it? It's always good value, mate. But I guess as we wrap this one up, any final thoughts, mate? Make sure you'll obviously bring in the content and the banter from this weekend. You've got some stuff lined up, no doubt, as the action unfolds.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely won't go predicting anything on that because I like to wait and see what happens and then come up with a reaction right on the spot. One thing I will say is I hope that the track builders don't get ahead of themselves with the Whoop debate and they come out with these absolute monsters and we absolutely saw everyone at half, which I don't think will happen. The guys at Pro Tracks are good. They'll make them good. But mainly I'm just hoping for a good track, good racing, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, mate, you're going to put these on YouTube, mate. You need to start monetizing some more and
Yeah, I
spreading
know.
the word, I reckon.
I know. That's it. I've had some people talk to me about it, and I was like, "Far out, boys! Like, I've got too much time on my hands at the moment. Well, sorry, I don't have enough time on my hands at the moment. I mean, I'm working flat out during the day, and then I mean, I love doing it, but geez, I gotta, and then far out, I gotta spend time with the missus as well. And I mean, even like this weekend, like, because I was originally going to come to Wollongong, but then I looked at flights and I was going to have to sacrifice like 2 weeks' pay to get down there. Flights were absolutely stupidly expensive. But yeah, we're going to the NBL on Saturday night. Like she just threw this one at me last night because like she was able to get corporate box tickets. And I was like, oh, yeah, well, I'm keen for that. And then I didn't think. And I was like, shit, what time is that game again? And it's at the same time as Supercross is on. And I was like, well, I'll be watching the Supercross as well while I'm at the game. And then so I was like, I'm going to make it happen. I'll be watching two things at once because I'll be heavily invested in that basketball game. I know I'm going to have $50 on the Taipans handicap and just hoping that they get a W. And then I'll be reacting to the race after. I may even have to react at the game.
Oh, do it, mate, with the backdrop of the hoops. It'll be pretty awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say, have they given you a call up to do some sort of sideline reporting or doing some pre-race, pre-gate interviews, mate? That'd be pretty good content.
Actually, that's what I was because I was going to come down to the Gong and do a vlog down there for Fest.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so they were going to get me down there, but yeah, we looked at flights and I was like, boys, all right, you won't want to foot the bill for these flights. So I'm hoping to get over. I'm hoping to get over to Adelaide possibly.
And Melbourne?
That was the one I wanted to get to originally because like Adelaide was my favorite city to go racing. I mean, I absolutely love that place. Like that is my second favorite city behind Cairns in Oz. So I'm hopefully going to be over at that one and I'll be getting around there.
Oh, awesome, mate. Yeah, cheers again for taking the time. It's been a ripper chat. Enjoyed all the banter, mate. And before we let you go, we'll thank the partners in 24MX, Dirt Store, Fuchs Silkerlin, and Dragon Energy for all their incredible support, as without them, none would be possible. All right, cheers again, mate. We'll have to get you on again for some more banter and some moto chat, and all the best with everything.
Absolutely, mate. Will do.
No worries, mate. Have a good one.
Cheers.